Hey everybody, welcome to the Talking Heads Club. This is Rosemary. I'm going to be your host this evening. I've got some friends with me today. You want to go around the circle and introduce yourselves?
Alright. I'm Jake Fung.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Emma. The burger.
And we have some mystery characters behind us that may or may not be revealed throughout the show.
This is the fourth video of the Talking Heads Club that will be posted to the channel, but it's the third episode. So
as usual,
we always
never
gotta keep track
confusing.
of that.
Never
Never confusing, always memorable.
Exactly.
The podcast we don't mention it is a podcast that we die.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that.
Well, I think that'll be the podcast that we get up into, probably the 8th podcast that it'll be.
You're saying the 8th one is the one where we just forget to talk about
it?
it?
Put some money on it? Do we want to put,
I'd like it. I'd actually... I feel like now we'll remember. Always. I mean, I'll always remember it, but now I feel like...
I think I'll probably remember it for a while.
I'll remember it, but I just don't know if we'll actually, bring it up every single time. We'll see, though. We'll see.
We will see. That's something we will do. Another thing that we're going to try to accomplish in this podcast is to talk about a variety of, little things, and then also a couple sprinkles of big things. So we're going to start out with our question submitted by a fan, John Turner. It's, what is your favorite type of beer and why? Anyone wants to
I can start.
Yeah, you go.
It's easy. IPA, Indiana Pale Ale. They taste good. They're hoppy.
What kind of brand? But keep going.
Rheingeist, if I could
Rheingeist
choose.
They are good.
Cincinnati brand.
Yep.
But it just tastes good. It's hoppy, and I love it. It tastes great. It also has a high alcohol percentage, so you don't have to try to, if you're trying to get drunk, you don't have to drink a lot.
Yeah.
It's a great beer.
Absolutely.
IPAs have always been too hoppy for me. I taste it and I want to like it because it tastes it's a lot. It's got really powerful flavor. And it's just
you have to
it just
get used to it.
kicks a little bit. Yeah, I
you
want to try it
actually
again.
have to just accept it. While you're drinking it, you have to accept it.
Yeah.
And then you're okay, this is good.
And I like the fruitiness of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think...
Wait, you didn't answer your, what's your...
ciders are just really good.
Yeah, my favorite would definitely be a cider.
But the brown ales we've been having, that coffee, the coffee stout that I had the other day was really good.
Yeah.
The coffee shit is good.
Do you... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just... That's what I was saying. I probably the Cigar Cities are pretty good, but I don't know. I can only have a couple of those.
What about you, John?
I think it depends on the time.
Time? Okay.
Just
think,
what's your favorite been so far?
He likes his summer shandy,
Yeah, I like the summer shandies in terms of more cheaper type beers.
Yeah.
But the Not Your Father's root beer is pretty good, even though it's basically just hard root beer.
Yeah.
Those
that
are
Cigar
good
City
answers.
Brown Ale.
Yeah. What was the pineapple drink that
The Ace Cider.
Yeah, dude,
Oh,
those
Devin
are
got
kinda-
that, I think.
Yeah, Devin did get that.
Yeah, and from you, Jake?
Other than the wine that I've had in church when drinking communion, I have not
We're
had
talking
alcohol.
about beers, aren't we?
I have not
yeah.
had alcohol. I'm not 21 yet.
No more needs to be
So
said.
I am not I am not a legal adult. I am a follower of Jesus, and I do drink wine in church. So my answer is wine from church. That's the closest I can get.
Fuck that.
False.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Sorry, what was that?
Fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I don't.
That was a
know.
throwback.
I don't know what you guys.
That
Are.
was,
That was some meta.
Is that
That was
is that
some meta comedy.
is that red carpet?
I don't know what movie it is.
Green.
Some movie you said.
some stupid.
It's some movie
let's
you
not
kept
just start
quoting.
talking about what we've done in the past episode.
No,
Green.
no, that was. I thought
it was
Can
a
we
Roman
just
changes
ask
from
what
Green Rug.
Rosemary's
It's Green Rug.
favorite beer
She said
is?
cider.
Yeah, definitely. So.
We're about to come
But
back in.
I have a question. I thought of this a little bit ago for the host here.
Tom and Lexi are leaving the building.
All right. Oh, the mystery people are leaving.
Tom's coming back.
One of the mystery people. Okay, Tom has been
Shut
revealed.
that door.
Boo, boo, character unlocked. It's Tom. Sorry.
I mean, that character's been unlocked since day one, dog.
I know, but he was the mystery. I mean, he was on the couch. No, he hadn't said anything.
Oh,
so.
we haven't had the. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, honestly, the worst one to unlock.
Wow. I hope Tom
Nah,
never listens to
well,
this. He won't.
He won't.
won't.
Tom, if you're listening to this right
Yeah.
now somewhere,
Well, it
you're
depends on if
Hey,
you're
fuck you, Tom.
Fuck you, Tommy. Fuck you, Tommy. Fuck you, Tommy. Fuck you, Tommy.
Fuck
Yeah,
you.
Even though
it's
you
all right.
both love Tommy, even though
Yeah.
you both love Tommy, even though
Yeah,
you
we
both
do.
love
Well,
Tommy.
Yeah, but that's the way.
Men do not
If
disclose
he's
their
listening to
emotions.
this-
Men
yeah,
do not talk
if he's
about their
listening to this,
emotions.
He'll
you
know.
know.
He'll know what he
I uphold male dominant traits of not talking about your emotions, bottling it up until you kill yourself at 45.
I mean, yeah,
Float your boat.
Well, anyways, I had a question. I had a question for the host.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For the
I
what?
just
I'm the
for the
host.
host. So back in 8th grade, a few of us refused to go on a choir trip. And I think everyone here refused to go, and I never got to hear Rosemary's side of that story, and I was just interested on what that was.
Oh
how'd it go?
man, let me think. It was really bad. I cried. Like I was very upset with Mr. Note. Like Mr. Note. Okay, so I basically told him a lie. Like I was going to do something, and then he found out that I was still at school. Someone snitched, and so he was like, "I'm just very disappointed in you, Rosemary." And I started crying. It was bad. But yeah, I skipped it so hard. I did not go on the trip.
Well, because it was an ass trip.
Yeah.
It was a
If
terrible
I
trip.
went on the
Yeah,
trip
Michael
and
Bryan was
I
there.
You went
on the
did
trip?
every second
Yeah,
of it.
because he was the only one to go out of like everyone.
Oh,
With
and
the
he's the reason.
It was like
that
him. It wasn't
it
Billy
didn't
Quaid
work.
there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Billy
Bi-
Quaid.
and
I mean,
he had and Mr. Noter had to
a
sing
couple
with
other
him.
guys.
He had to sing. I remember he had.
I wish I remembered more
Uh,
of the details.
Well,
I mean, I
that wasn't.
definitely
That was a.
remember
That was a.
riding on the
I
bus over that school
So-
and being pissed off the entire time. Because I don't know, I think I just thought we were kind of joking about the whole skipping thing. I was like,
Oh.
yeah, we're gonna skip, whatever.
No,
or like,
we-
I
we
was out of the
skipped.
loop.
That
And
was
so I'm
for
sitting on
real.
that bus, like, fuck these guys, dude. These guys fucking, they sent
I mean,
me
you
to
didn't.
the slaughterhouse.
Yeah,
and I just
you,
walked
you should
in.
know.
Yeah, it was awful. But Mr. Nutter did love me after that, though.
I mean, yeah, you were.
But
You
was
were.
that
You
a
were
W or not?
yeah, well,
He was
you were
gonna
his
give me
baby
a
because
D.
he already liked
Yeah.
you, Michael.
Oh, yeah.
He already liked you.
Mhm.
So after, because I mean, he liked he liked the bases kind of.
Oh, yeah, he definitely. Well, I mean,
But
like,
he
I was a
liked,
tenor
but
for
the
most of it.
but well, that's what I'm saying. He loved the tenors.
Yeah.
Because he only
I think
had
he
it
was
was
tenor maybe.
well, but
Well, because
yeah.
he can enforce the bases, but he can't like the tenors. He could do.
But it was also mostly just me, you, and John, and who was it? Just me?
Tenors. It
It
was
was us and then Reed.
Reed.
But then
Yeah.
Reed ended up being like I don't know.
He
what
changed,
happened.
didn't he? Yeah, because I remember
He was, like,
because
very
eventually
bad.
it was just me, you, and Michael, and we were just all in that one room, and that was the time
You were
that
baritone.
that's.
Yeah.
Do you remember the window, John? So one time, so I guess we'll explain. So one time we were in this little room in our middle school choir, right?
Yeah,
and
so
so
it's the
it's
side
this
room with,
time.
like,
It's
the piano,
basically his
right?
office. It was
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
basically his office.
Was it a two-way window?
Yes.
Yes, it was a two-way window. And so basically, there was one big window that you could look through to see the rest of the classroom. And so we sat on a couch that some of our backs were to the window, and some people were facing the window. And there was a keyboard between us, okay? So at one point,
Oh, yeah,
we were
back
doing
there
some
practice.
random shit, and John all of a sudden starts going, "Oh, dude, Mr. Noter will never see us through here. He will never know we're not doing anything." And he starts just bragging about it, and I'm like, okay, but like, I mean, it was unusual because I was like, dude, he's completely right. I mean, we had for weeks. I mean, even like months.
What were we doing there?
We
It
would
was
play the
like-
random game. We played the random game. We would
What
play
is the
random
random game?
where you start off in New York with $500 and a random item, and then you try to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would do that, and every day
instead of practicing.
Because to be fair, we would get it in like 2
dude, it was
days.
easy. We got it quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, John's spouting off all the he'll never fucking see us through here. And he can't even see us. He couldn't do anything. And then right when John keeps spouting off, like 30 seconds in, Mr. Noter, you see him peer through, and he goes, just peer through the top of the window, and you're just like, and I don't know if you both were sitting on the couch, but I remember I was sitting on the opposite side and looking over there. I was like, can you hear John right now? And I was like, and John, you just kept going. You were like, he cannot. I mean, no, seriously, he can't do anything. And I started trying to tell you, John. I was like, John. And he's like, no, seriously, Jake, you don't have to worry. He's not going to do anything. I'm serious. And I was like, oh my gosh, he doesn't understand. And then he leaves. He walks away. And then I'm like, John, he literally was right there. And you were like,
Was this in high
my
school?
God. No, this was in middle school. This was like
Middle
7th grade, I think.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, are you serious? Yeah. And then all of a sudden he peers through the window, the middle window of the door, and then opens, what's going on in here, guys? And we're like, like my butthole tightened immediately. I was like, oh, we're busted. And then he's just like, so how's it going? Well, pretty good. You guys want to sing it for me real quick? And we were like, oh, okay. And I remember singing it, and we did fine. I mean, we knew it. He was like, all right, great. And then exactly! Nothing happened. And so he had to know we were just doing random shit, but he's like, hey, they're getting the songs. I mean, that's okay.
They understand the songs?
I just like the perfect timing of John spouting off, he'll never fucking see us doing nothing in here. And then he looks over and peeps in while we're doing nothing.
He was big.
I mean, he was tall. Yeah, that's why he could easily. He literally just went.
We used to watch Jaws. My family was watching Jaws. Like last.
We
night.
watched Jaws all the goddamn time. To be fair, Jaws is a great movie.
And August Rush. I saw that many times.
If I could go back, I would appreciate more the times we watched Jaws, and I would actually watch it because most of the time I just played Tetris or something.
Yeah, we just.
A lot of times I played Tetris.
I mean, we would bounce balls in the walls. Do you
remember when he did a
headstand?
Oh, the wall ball was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he did do a headstand.
Remember when we met Wendell Berry?
Dude,
that's something we talk about.
Yeah, that is also.
That's big,
that's
guys.
Something...
Like at college, as an English major, like they talk about Wendell Berry all the time.
Well, that's more something that I didn't appreciate at the time either.
I was like, fuck Wendell Berry.
However, at the same time, it was a very old man, and when you are a 12-year-old, 13-year-old,
I thought he was really sweet.
You don't
and I liked his stuff.
Well, and see, I had never read any of his stuff before, and it's not like, and even if I had, I don't think I would have the same appreciation as I would as even a 20-year-old, and even later on, I think you would gain more appreciation for it. So.
That was one thing. I'm like, dude, somehow Mr. Nutter sought that man out. Like, he got him there. And he came and dude.
And they wrote his own song.
We had to write down questions on, the post-it note stuff.
John saying?
I was just saying, how did that happen?
I don't know.
I think they were friends. They lived
Well, he at least wrote to him or talked to him at some point.
Yeah, he wrote to him, I think.
Yeah.
But they became friends.
I mean, he was a huge Wendell Berry fan.
Huge. He was a Wendell Berry fanatic.
Yeah, shouts out Wendell Berry.
Shouts out Wendell Berry.
I mean, he pretty much asked all the questions during class. Like, we had,
to be fair, that was his. He probably knew we didn't have that many questions, and he was like, I have 1 million. So
yeah,
this is basically kind of my treat too. So here you go,
dude.
That's definitely what it was. He totally used a middle school class as his and Wendell Berry now has to answer my questions. It's not in a bad way, but it's like, dude, if I could do that with somebody, it's like, because it fits, completely fits. I mean, especially if there's songs that Wendell Berry wrote that are pretty famous choir songs, then it's like, okay, that makes sense. And then he did write his own, so he's a Berry head, you know. Some people are Berry heads.
Some people are.
Some people are Berry heads.
Yeah. Alright, so, that was amazing talking about Wendell Berry and the choir of middle school and elementary school and high school. But, I'd like to ask another question of the masses. So, let's say you wake up one morning and you have the day off, and it's all your friends are in town, and you want to do something fun. Like, what is the thing? What is the perfect day, hanging out with your friends, that you all could imagine? What's the ideal activity, the ideal weather, etc.
Perfect day, hanging out with my friends.
So, like, does it have to be here, or is it, like, can we be
I
traveling?
have one.
I mean, we'd start here.
Alright,
We'd
we'll say.
start
This
here,
is
so it'd have to be
where
within
everybody's
like a
Somewhere
day.
close by, yeah. We don't have, like, a wild...
I have one that could apply to any place.
Okay.
Just because I think it sounds fun. If all of us went to like a thrift shop or like Goodwill, and we all were shopping and we all found like,
Dude.
shit that we liked, like that just sounds really fun.
That
I
sounds
do like
fun.
thrift shopping.
Thrift shopping is fun.
Goodwill's the move.
And little other shops too.
Yeah, well, yeah, not just Goodwill.
Yeah.
Also antique
No,
shops.
yeah,
I
any
like
thrift
antique
shop.
I like
shops as well.
antique shops too.
It's old shit. Older,
Yeah.
kind of recycled shit, in a way.
I always enjoyed going to Zanzibar.
Love
like to go
Zanzibar.
back.
Zanzibar is
Those
a
are
good
good times.
place.
Going to Zanzibar and then coming
shout
back
out
here later at
Louisville.
night, like, those are always good times.
That's always a good time.
Yeah, dude, Zanzibar, so fucking... They got my fake ID. Still gotta go back down there and get my free
Michael
drink
is
from
21
He
now.
promised
He
me-
doesn't have a fake ID.
He promised me a drink when I turned 21, so I'm going. I'm fucking taking that shit.
That's so funny.
And I'll show him the condition of my old one.
Oh my god.
That,
You want to
Michael
take this
Brogan.
one?
The
You
first
wanna take
time I
that? You
ever
should give it
used
to
this
him.
one.
You should give it to him and be like, now you take both of them.
Now you've taken both of them. That would be. I really will. I might do that. Honestly.
I'd be like, hey, no more bad business, you know. And then you'll shake hands and make out with him. Sorry, that just went.
maybe
I think I'd be a little
not.
bit nervous though. I'd be
Because
scared to still give him. I'd be scared to give him my
Michael
second
is
ID.
straight. But Rosemary,
Could have been a
what's
woman.
your answer?
Oh, my answer for the ideal day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like going on a hike or like doing something outside, like going to a park and having an activity, maybe a game of kickball again or something like that, and then coming back, hanging out, chilling.
Just
They're
chill.
good days. Yeah.
Yeah.
The parks have been
those.
fun. I wish the weather was better.
Say that again.
I wish the weather was better.
Jake, your response.
Playing Smash Bros with the crew. Playing Jackbox with the crew. Playing games with the
Jackbox
crew.
is
I love all the games. Playing Mario Kart, Mario Party, Nintendo Land. Checks out all those party games. They're great.
Gonna have to have swimming in my day as well.
I was thinking about
Swimming, yeah. Swimming
think
was
I'm
a
just
second.
kind of
I was
like,
gonna say
yeah.
swimming in like a campfire or something.
I'm also
Can
kind
I
of
just
itching to
say-
swim right now. I
I
haven't
really,
swam.
really want to swim.
Is anyone else out there that like I like to swim for like an hour and then I get bored
I
and
can
then
swim
I'm
for
like
hours.
the swimming day is
I can
over.
swim.
I'll get like
I'm just-
tired, but I could swim for a while. I'll have to like rest a
No,
little bit. And I'll
just-
get on like a
as long as,
raft, and then I'll swim a
comfortable,
little bit.
but I-
more.
what I
I'm
hate about
glad
swimming
you
is you
all
get
feel
cold.
that way.
Yeah.
I've talked to someone recently and I just get bored.
I've been trying to train myself to like not
I
get
think it
bored
depends
with
where you go.
things.
And
So
also,
but like it takes a lot longer. But it's like, and I'm late to stuff a lot of times. But also, it's nicer to just enjoy the things. It's like you can be cool doing whatever.
but also
you know
in
what I
like
mean?
if
I
you're
guess I'm fucked.
no,
if you're
not
swimming,
like
you
saying
can
that.
also not
It's
swim
just
and be there.
why
That's
I
just,
like to say it.
like hang out like in
Yeah.
like, an area by water, which is cool and it feels nice. And like, but I mean, I haven't had time. I've been like we haven't gotten like get a chance to go anywhere. I mean, I would say go to the pit, but like
No, the pit.
it's kind of gross. But,
I've
like,
never
it'd be
been to
good.
the pit, but it just
The
sounds.
pit is this
the
place
pit's
in our
okay.
hometown.
It's okay.
Yeah,
And it's like pretty. It's actually very pretty,
it can be.
but you don't always want to swim in it.
It's like I mean, like it's like a
Too.
shitty way there, but then like where you're at is kind of pretty. Like the
It
like
has
once you get
a
there,
tiny little waterfall.
yeah,
And like
you can go under the waterfall.
a little pool where you can swim.
What about when Michael did a backflip off that like top part?
What?
Different
Wow,
Michael.
yeah.
Michael McCabe?
Yes,
We
when went to the
we
pit one
shouldn't
time.
talk about this, Michael.
I mean, we can talk about what like just crazy stories that
Just
happened. I mean,
say
that was
like our old friend.
fun. Okay, our old friend. But now that
the dam's been broken.
Yeah,
but once the dam.
Yeah, what was? I can't remember exactly what happened. I think that was
Wester Chesterton, our old friend West, did a backflip at the pit.
Did a backflip off the pit.
Was irresponsible. Might have been a little intoxicated. Might have been a little inebriated, and was definitely being dumb. And did a backflip when we went, hey, there's some really shallow rocks right there. Like, you could land on them and it would be bad. And also your dog's right there who's following you and he might jump off too. So don't know why you should probably, should have probably dealt with that before he was about to jump off with you. And then he jumped.
The dog did.
And then the dog did too. And then we went, oh, okay.
What
I
happened?
hope he's okay. And then he was okay. And he was like, oh, okay. And we were like, wow, that could have been really bad. You are a dumb person. But, there are many things like that happen. So, you just hope they get better. And then when they don't, they don't.
Happens what happens.
What happens. Yep.
Okay, yes.
Did you guys ever find that out?
What happens after you die?
Nobody
Nothing.
knows. No.
You're gone. It's darkness. It's black.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
But how do you know that with certainty?
You could be. Nobody knows for certainty.
It could be just as likely that you
there's
turn into do anything else.
I agree 100% with that, but with my views, I just think that based on other organisms, I just think
we don't know where
nothing
they go
happens.
I don't know. I think it's more likely than unlikely.
Do you believe
that
in a
it just
soul
ends.
then?
I think we do done so. I don't think we're special in any way, and I think we're just a species that evolved to the certain point that we're at, and we're gonna die.
I mean,
it
sounds
But
like
I can't have any.
relaxation.
I have no evidence to say there's nothing after we
What
die,
are you looking for?
or there is something, or whatever. So it's like what I'm just gonna live as if there's nothing, but I'm also gonna try to be a good person and film my life.
Yeah, I'll
so
always be a good
I
person.
just
I'm just saying it's just as likely that there's nothing as it is that you turn into a conscious broom. There's just no.
Oh yeah,
certainty.
no. I mean, there's no. I mean, there's so many things. One, we still don't understand, especially
because
Yeah,
you could
but
see
does
that
it matter? Those are the
I
questions.
mean,
not really.
honestly,
Especially, it's futile when we can't do anything.
The only
about
thing
it,
that
so.
makes sense to me is reincarnation. Because I'm
Yeah.
when you look at a conservation of matter or conservation
Yeah.
of energy, it makes sense that when you die, your energy would be put into.
Yeah, it's like a
Well, yeah, you're just
something
returning
else.
to the earth. I mean,
that
you're
makes
returning
sense
to.
to me
That's interesting.
in a religious point, even though I'm not religious, but
very
that's the only thing I could possibly believe in. But in the end,
But
I
are
think
you even
that-
connected to that energy at that point?
What?
If it was really if reincarnation is real.
But are you even connected to that energy anymore?
No, I mean that's the whole thing. Is
No,
what do you
no,
think
you're
it
not,
gives
like,
you
conscious. I
energy?
mean, there's
It's
nothing-
not. It's
Yeah, you don't-
Maybe
soul.
there's an idea. It's
That-
maybe
doesn't
there's
it?
some kind of soul that's almost immortal, but also it's almost just I don't know. There's nothing.
I mean, it really doesn't
You
matter.
can't
Yeah,
really
you're not
have
gonna
a
be
personality
conscious
as
of
a
it.
soul.
You're not
It's just
gonna
a
you're not
thing.
gonna regain
It's a
consciousness and be
waste
like.
product.
I remember my old past. I remember
Yeah.
you as a person, if we live long enough, and even then, you will still be part of the universe in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You are a physical being, and you will return to the earth. We will decompose, whatever. But that.
So there's an idea.
I mean, you will live on in a certain way, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's you. What were you? You didn't technically exist, but you were kind of born out of somebody else, and you were nourished from the earth, and so it's it makes sense that you would be returned to that because you're returning basically all of that time.
I mean, you're
and
talking
everything,
about
so.
conservation of matter and energy.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I mean,
Yeah.
it is exactly that. It's a natural process, and it's,
Even though our population is expanding, on Earth.
Honestly, we're expanding too fast.
But you can
we've
also
been
look at
expanding
all
so
of the
fast for
other organisms that
so
are
long,
dying
yeah.
too. So like if you really wanted to justify like reincarnation, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, you can. I mean, reincarnation makes sense in a
And again, I'm
scientific
not.
manner, but it's
Yeah,
not.
I'm not
finite.
religious. I'm
Yeah.
not religious.
I don't know.
I don't believe in.
I believe in
any religion.
reincarnation. You do good, you become.
I just think there's so much we can't account for. You know what
No,
I
you
mean?
can't
Like,
account for
But
anything. We
it's
can't
also
account for
like
a lot of
we
shit.
just don't have the knowledge for it. Like
Knowledge.
I'm a very scientific person, so it's like when you say that like you can't account for this, so you put it into spirituality. That is when I get kind of annoyed.
It's not
because
spirituality. It's
No, but
just
I
saying
mean, like,
it's.
when people, I mean, like when people do that, like it kind of annoys me because I'm like, you can't just account anything for something that you don't know.
I don't
As
think
it being
annoys is a good-
spirituality, like
think
that's just not. You have to actually try to look into those things, and it's just like when you don't, and you count it for something that's like, just like a good scapegoat. Like that's just not. That's not how I would go about it, at least.
I do think religion does serve a purpose, though.
Sure.
I wonder. I do
serve
wonder
a lot of
how
purposes.
how a lot of like our generation and other generations have. Because to be fair, there is like a.
I mean, I think it's a valid way to cope with what being alive is.
I know, but I feel like it's even more than that, and I feel like because it's even like. It's like a community. It's a lot of stuff. So, and I feel like even though we're like losing that, we're not replacing it with a lot of things. You know, like with a lot of
Okay, we don't have a community like we did.
Well, I think it's we're replacing it with certain things, but it's negative almost. And I think that's why we see like.
That's it.
Well, I think there are certain like negative groups that have formed out of like a lack of group to go around, and then certain things. I don't know. I want to say like incels kind of, but like not completely, not just because of that, because incels are a whole nother. I mean, they're that's a
different
Pandora's
topic.
box of problems. But like I think there are other groups like similar, just like kind of hate-based groups that kind of form around that or around like a sense of community because like we lack a lot of that in today's society. But that's also a different topic. That's kind of like
Definitely do good things for the community, like if done. Like
that's why there are benefits to Christianity and other religions. Like you can't say that it's not. Like
I think
a good
it's
force in
totally
some
up
way.
to the individual. You know what I mean?
No,
There's
it's completely up
some
to the
sorts
individual.
of church that's kind of businessy to me that honestly I condemn, like in my own mind. But like, who am I to tell someone that whatever makes them feel good about themselves and like connected with their spirituality is like the wrong way to go about
That's
it?
why
Because I would never want them to say that to me. So
I agree with that, but there's also another side where like you say that like the claim of so many religions is to be like I love everyone and I accept everyone, but when a religion constantly like puts down other people depending on certain aspects of them, like race or their sexual orientation or their gender identity, like that's not okay. Like how do you claim that you love everyone when you are constantly going against that and you're saying like that's not the life choice I would choose, but it's like you don't have no fucking idea.
I don't think that's all churches or all members of a certain religion.
No,
like,
but the thing is, even I have known people.
and that's a
whose
personal people's choice, not the religion.
No, that's what I'm saying too. Is like I have known people whose pastors have never preached anything like that.
Yeah.
Have never gone against same-sex marriage or gender identity or just anything like involving that, and they still come out claiming that like that is not okay. Like
That's
same-sex
them
marriage.
then. That's not the
I know,
that's not
but
the
it's, like,
religion.
the fact that, like-
it's like it's in the Bible, but it's also just a misuse.
But
of the
in their
Bible. It's a
within
it's
their-
in
misinterpretation.
a certain
it's a
interpretation of the Bible.
within
There's
their,
Yeah,
within
of,
their
like-
community, like they are told, like even though like their pastor, and I'm talking about
yeah.
specifically,
That's them, though, they're not the
specifically I'm
religion.
talking about like Christianity. I'm saying within their pastor, their pastor has said nothing about that.
Yeah.
But the fact that their community has, that's what scares me about religion, is because like
even though, like, somebody can preach something that, like, is so pure and, like, they mean it, like, all of their followers and the people that are listening to them can totally interpret that in a different way. And that is scary.
I mean, I think that works with everything.
Yeah,
no,
That
definitely,
works with any kind of
definitely.
thing.
I guess it's scary in some ways, but
Any
also
kind of
like a
mass
lot of
held
times,
ideas and a mass, like
a lot of
mass
times
thinking.
there's good pastors and like there's good small communities of churches and they actually do good stuff. Like I'm not saying
I
they
think
all.
there's a
That's
lot of
all.
good things that
We just
happen.
can't discount that it does a lot of good.
No, I mean, I grew up Catholic, and, like, my priest said nothing against anyone who had any same-sex tendencies, who had anything that involved,
Yes,
like,
I understand. So they.
yeah, so, like,
It's
they,
not the people in church. So why is it a problem with the religion itself?
Well, I
But
think,
I'm saying because
I think
everyone
it's
who went to that church, like, when I walked into church and I wasn't wearing something that was considered to their standards, like, I had glared eyes at me. Like,
Yeah.
people would judge me for what I was wearing when I went to church, even though I was going to church. Like, that is so fucked up. That, like,
I mean, I'm
somebody would
really
do
sorry
that.
that happened to you.
But I'm saying, like, I have known so many people who have gone through that same experience. Like,
I mean,
I'm just saying that's a problem with the church
Yeah, that's-
community itself. It's not the church.
yeah, that's not like every church in
no,
particular.
obviously it's not every
Mm-hmm.
church, but I'm saying when there's community involved, you have to acknowledge the fact that, like, people are going to be judgmental.
Yeah, I think
mean-
like
I think
The-
every
the-
individual
the
member of a
religion-
community has responsibilities.
Well, I also think that people over time have twisted in what people have said, like what these ancient texts say, to meet their own personal like goals and greed, and to
Definitely.
put other people's down. And it's like, but there's also been kind of like this like deeply imprinted idea that was set up. I mean, for like just different reasons.
Well, I think it was politicized, especially with like kind of the gay thing. Like it was politicized along with like a kind of Republican agenda.
But I
So
do.
then
This is what I'll
alongside
say
with
is
that,
I do
like-
support like the people who are like religious and stuff, and they I mean I think they are allowed to say according to what we believe, what you do is a sin, and they can do that with like I don't think they have to do that with like a guilty conscience.
And they can
I
do
think they're
whatever
okay to
they
do
want
that as
in
long as they're not like
church.
I mean I don't think they do any kind of like as long as they're not like being aggressive or like discounting them as a person for doing it. It's just like an understanding of like but like I mean I guess in their way of thinking like everybody sins, you know. But it's just people use this like these different things for hate and to cause issues.
But it's
It
like-
becomes a problem when so a big debate that I know is among churches and certain. I don't know how many pastors actually do this and don't, but I know there's a debate along should everything in the Bible count.
Fuck no.
Well, here's the deal.
And that is a big debate. And I remember when I was attending Southeast with my parents, like I don't know, it was a few years ago. It was probably like 3 years ago. I remember they talked about they talked about okay, we don't want to go against what the Bible says, and we want to keep with the Bible and all that. But then at one point they kind of started going into like you could kind of feel the territory of they're about to say something because they started going into like a string of things like we don't agree with this, we don't agree with gay marriage, and it was like oh. And then at another point, it wasn't the same sermon,
Your
but it was
church
honestly
said that?
Well, I think
Southeast said that like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
That's
but-
what I'm saying. That's
no, that's
why
that's why
it's
that's
toxic.
that's
Like,
why it's and that's why it's like should you count everything in the Bible? Because when you say we have to count everything in the Bible, then it's like, but you
Well,
don't realize how much is in your Bible.
I can understand
Then
their
you-
argument
then you're
for it because
leaving out
in the
other
Bible
stuff.
it says you have to keep like everything that's said.
Saying
It's supposed to
that-
be God's word, so it's supposed to be all true.
But then at the same time,
It's
there are
not- and that's what I'm
passages.
saying. It's interpreted. The canon of the Bible is actually really interesting because there was a time where like that like there was literally like people of power went through the texts and found like made sure the ones that were true like they fact checked all like the text and then kept the true books of the Bible. So there's actually a lot of other books that are like they were books written at the same time and claimed being like
the Bible.
Yeah,
And
written by one of
prophets.
the
The translations are so hard to match.
They
like,
are.
The you can totally, depending on the translator's biases, like
It's a story from 2,000 years
distort
ago.
the meaning of the stories in the Bible.
Exactly, it's become such an American religion,
that's
but like,
what-
and it's become an immersive.
thing
Well, I
is-
mean, it was
I
I don't
it was
think everyone
written
was
by
written
a
by
man.
I
Like
think
it was
what we're
written
seeing
by
is
a
It's written by lots
person.
of people.
It
Yeah.
wasn't. This wasn't written by a god. Like
I
it
mean,
was
but you're
written
saying
by
that
a
from
person.
you're saying that from a mindset that I also share, where there's just like I don't think that there's this necessary.
No, I mean
hierarchy.
literally,
But
like
a lot of people
historically,
share
it was
the same
written
idea.
by a person.
Except lots
I
of
mean,
people.
yes, but it was literally also said that it was written through God. And
Yeah,
through this and
God
stuff.
talked through them.
Yeah, they it's spoken.
I
Through
mean,
them.
And I guess I can't speak on that because I don't believe in God.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I mean, I think it's just like.
But crazy shit happens in the Bible. That's the Bible. Miracles happen. Miracles happen all the time.
I guess.
Angels
I mean,
come
it's a
down.
wild book. It really is, and I think
Mary
It is
Mary
a
literally got
wild
pregnant without
book.
ever.
I think that
Without
That's
there's
ever
a-
being fucked, yeah,
I
that
think-
doesn't make sense.
Which
But
also
I
wasn't
just-
she like 14 or something? She's supposed to be like really young.
The
when she
culture
had
that
it.
they
It
said she was
doesn't
very
make
young.
Yeah, she was like 14.
But they like
People
they
didn't
all
live
married,
very long
Yeah, they
back
didn't live
then.
very long back then, so you married pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it was again 2,000 years ago.
Exactly. It was a
And
totally different-
2,000 years ago.
But I think it's also surprising how much wisdom is in the Bible when you look through. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that.
No, there's
Not
a reason.
saying there
There's a
wasn't.
reason
No,
it's
yeah, I
lasted
think
2,000
it's
years.
on
There is some good shit in the Bible that you're
I
like,
think
hey,
so.
that's actually good wisdom that you can take with you throughout your life. There are good. That's why you see like passages that people have because legitimately
They mean
it
something.
has meaning in people's lives. Like people like to make fun of it and shit, but like legitimately people respect those and it's integral
But
to
I just think
to
it's
their
been
life,
twisted.
or at least to them it is. So it's like not
People just
integral,
put
but
it-
That's what I'm saying.
It
Like,
means
I'm
a
not
lot.
in a
Twisting
position
this
to
idea.
judge anybody else as like God. You know what I mean? Like, I think
they- Well,
no, I
spirituality
thi-
is 110% personal.
I think if they really
It's
follow
just-
the Bible, then if you follow it truly, but not you follow it with your heart, I think, which you can misinterpret person to person, but I really think like if you see it through, okay, what is good for
If you try
me
to look
and everyone
through the
else?
things
if
that
you're
have been
being hateful
Yeah.
and you're justifying hate with a God that you believe in, then that's different.
Then
than
that's
just
very
having
I think
this
different,
that's
yeah.
what a lot of
different
people do.
view.
They look to a religion to find like I don't know. It's like satisfaction for themselves. And,
Yeah.
like,
Justification as well.
Justification. That's exactly what it is. And like
And
an idea that you're
that's what
special.
pisses
And that's
me off.
exactly what the
Yeah, no,
it
no,
seems like
I-
the
yeah,
emphasis
no,
of
that-
religion is
But that is also a
yeah.
flaw within the people and within
humanity, I
within
think
the
it is.
interpretation. And I agree
And I
that
think
the
that
modern interpretation with some churches is not how I would go about it, and not how I think
The
is
Bible
appropriate
also-
for the community to really get along. I think it honestly is divisive, and I understand where you're coming from. Yet I don't agree with you because I see your point of view and I can step in your shoes. Yet at the same time, I don't see why you have to state that and why you so actively are disagreeing with it. There's no. I understand it's in the Bible, but it's like I
Also,
don't. That doesn't.
the correlation between Christianity and people that say all lives matter. Can we all address that?
I mean, but that you could say the same thing for how many like Christianity and Trump voters.
I think the all lives
Yes,
matter.
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's just like
Christianity,
it's a fight
But I'm not-
conservatism.
yeah, no, I mean,
And
But,
all lives matter. Like
I get
it's
it.
the fact that like you are not looking at, you're trying to look at the whole, but you're ignoring the people that are suffering. It's things like that that like really just turn me off from religion. Like
But that's not all people who are religious.
I understand that, but I'm sorry. I just have this thing towards the religion that I was from, and that's what it is.
Well, yeah, it's a weird situation for me to be in as well because
yes. Pastors, boy,
Yeah.
we talked about it last time, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
so like my dad being a pastor is like I'm up close and personal, and like also love and respect someone very dearly.
Yeah.
That is very religious.
That's
like,
how mine,
extremely
because my
religious.
grandpa was.
And I mean, I really do respect my father for what he does and what he believes, and I try to like, even in my own disbelief, understand where he's coming from, and I do, and I think it is a lot of it is from a point of view, or point of like it's an idea of just like all encompassing love and everything, and like. I think there's a lot of good that has come out of it. It's just been, I think it's been taken control of and abused. But what was I? There was a theme in the Bible that I thought was interesting, but I'm trying to remember what it was though. Oh, I guess it's like the idea that like we're almost inherently self-destructive. The idea that like we are the problem.
That makes us depend more on God. I think.
Yes, I think so, but also there's a lot of.
I mean, there's
the
longer I live, the more I see how much truth there is. And it's hard because like I think it's my own. It's my own pride. It's hard to see a lot of the times because you think, okay, I'm making all the right decisions here, and like I'm doing this like with I'm trying to live my best life. But it's a lot of times you're not.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're part of the problem that is like. But you just can't see it.
What
and
problem?
Though? And I mean, I think there's just almost like you look around you and you see this inherent like greed and inherent like anger that's kind of seems like to be inside of a lot of us. Or some, well, like I mean, I feel like that's like kind of just some things that you see or like, and especially when it gets to be like with this like whenever you have a lot of when one person has a lot of power, these characteristics seem to like.
I think honestly that people are able. Some people are more able than others, but like able to choose good over bad because I get just as much satisfaction out of doing something good as I do out of doing something that's like in my bad nature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just I 100% you can believe that you can choose to do more good, and then once you start doing like more good, it feels better to just do it that way, and it becomes like your instinct almost.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that, but then like I mean there is sometimes it does seem like there's almost like this driving force towards
evil.
Yeah, like almost like a driving like force towards evil, and I'm not saying like I mean it kind of sounds scary. But it's just like an interesting idea from the Bible that I've seen. Like
that's where I
there's
don't
some places where I'm like, this
because
kind of makes sense.
It's not evil. It's just your drives. Like
yeah, I mean, but still, we're driven for this like progression, and through like at the sacrifice of this progression, we're destroying the world.
But that's
we're living
different.
In. You know what I mean? No, I think that is.
No, I'm saying what your vices are. Like that's
what I was
different.
talking about is like people like violence and like. Stuff that should greed and like stuff like that.
But like we can't just talk about like violence. Like we have to actually talk about like things that are considered like sins against like certain religions that are considered like evil, but they're not. Like those are your drives.
I think that those things are.
No, I think that there's definitely parts of like different religions that have like a messed up idea.
Like having sex before marriage, like that's fucked up. Everyone knows that. Like
I mean, I think it's just an idea of like, in all honesty, if you live by this idea that you meet with one person, you get married to just them, and like you're loyal to that one person, it makes sense and be the most like efficient just to wait until you're with that person. That way you're not risking.
I mean, sure, if that's how your life works, then
but it's like exactly.
Sure. Like
I don't have a problem with that, but like it's also like I mean, I just don't personally abide by that because why would you? But like I can understand where the like it would kind of make sense a little bit, but it also kind of puts people down. It's like, hey, blah blah blah, you got to do this and this and this and this. You have to abide by our rules. But I don't know, that driving force of like this almost evil within. It's just kind of interesting. I've been kind of thinking about it. I like people, and I think people are inherently good, and I like to see the people around us. But then it's weird having that comparison between the people that you actually see and the people that you hear about or see on the news or see that have power.
I honestly think there's like equal parts good and evil in I think it's like balance, but I don't even think that evil is really evil because on the underside of evil is always good and on the underside of good is always evil. So like I don't know.
I mean, yeah, good and evil is a hard.
It's
even a hard thing.
Well, I mean, self-deception.
Well, it's all.
Whatever you choose to focus on, I feel like is what you would see as the more prominent.
Yeah.
Floors.
When someone labels something as evil, I feel like it's trying to attract this certain like spiritual force behind it, and that's not what it is. It's evil, like when someone classifies something as evil, it's saying that like that is something that goes against the society's norm. Like it's changed throughout society. Like it's not
someone else.
Yes,
I think you have
but
like a specific example for that.
No, I'm saying like, I mean, I
go
into it, but I don't want to. Like, I'm just saying like when people call an act evil, like, you don't always know the intention behind it.
Yeah.
And even if, like, there is a bad intention behind it, like, also, like, there are more, like, details that aren't black and white. Like, it's always gray. Like, and we just don't accept that because, like, we want something to be, like, good or evil, and I just don't believe in that. Like, I just think that, like, you have to understand, like, the gray, and, like, you have to understand that, like, there are forces that drive people to do certain things. And, like, while I don't want to do anything bad, like, I don't want to do anything that hurts anyone, like, you have to understand, like, there are people out there who feel the same way, but they do things that do hurt people, and they regret it forever. Like, it's... And I don't condone those things, but it's just, like...
Emma, I'm not saying that those people aren't out there. I'm just saying that some things are bad and some things are good.
I don't know.
I know. I just don't like classifying the things that people do as
and
evil.
There's some things. That's not what we're saying. That the person is evil. It's just. And I understand how the term might be.
I don't mean saying that someone is evil. I mean even the things that they do are evil. I don't like classifying the things that someone does as evil. If somebody kills somebody,
that's evil.
I mean, I think
unless it's by accident, you know what I mean?
Well, is there? I think I like what you're saying about the gray. There you go.
Like, that's the gray.
Yeah,
like,
of course. There's always gray area.
I think everything is in shade
gray. Things aren't always just good or always just bad.
I don't know if there's a question of is there evil or because like I feel like to have a gray, you have to have also concentrated places of like light and darkness to be able to mix to have a gray that we usually live in.
Yeah, you gotta have both.
It's an idea of like, is there really just this like thing that's like truly evil? And I think it's a lot of self confusion. I don't think. Yeah, I think calling something evil. It's just like a hard word to describe. It's a hard word to put.
No, I mean, and that's my thing.
You can't really.
Yeah,
I mean,
because my thing is, I don't believe in evil. I think it's totally built on our society and our culture. Like, I think we determine what is evil based on what we think is bad at the time.
I think a serial killer is always evil.
Yeah, I think that there's. Yeah,
I just think there's some things in a society that are
but not always. Not in every society.
You also have to consider, like,
but not necessarily states. Because there aren't serial killers in other societies. There are people who kill other people who are accepted.
I think if there was like a murder,
it's true, like the death penalty.
But not even that. Like there are literally people who kill people. But yeah, even that's a good example. That's something we accept. There are people who kill people, and they are allowed to do it because that person killed somebody else, but we have to kill them. So it's like, oh, okay, but that's justified. But then even in other places, it's justified to them in a way that, oh, that guy, he was a dumbass. So he got his throat slit in the middle of the night. But nobody cares. Nobody's going to the police because they don't care. Because they went, well, it was his own fault. He's being a dumbass. He continued to be a dumbass. And then he got his throat slit. So it's like, there's no, like, it just matters from culture to culture. Because really, everything we've created is magic. Like, there's nothing really that exists in a certain way.
Let Rosemary. No, I'm good. Just sorry, I was just rubbing my head.
I just think I think there's like is there a higher moral code? Is there like is there a idea of evil and good that is correct for all living beings?
It's constantly.
Yeah, I think there's one we can create. Yeah, but it's constantly fluctuating depending on our society.
I think there are some things that are constantly good and some things that are constantly not good.
Like, there would have to be able to make a moral scale.
Like like helping people, always pretty much good. Never looks bad. Like disrespecting people and like doing things that you wouldn't want to happen to you. Never really good ever in any society. Doesn't really go well. So that's why I think that they're like good.
Why do people tend to do that so often?
Because I think people.
It's a human experience.
Like there's I think that there's kind of like a certain consciousness part of a human and like a certain like innate animal part of a human. Like that's why I think that there's something like we have like a soul or something, and I don't know about if other animals have it or anything else.
So you think that's an interesting idea?
Because like there's part of us that wants to like do good and build a society. Like in society is kind of like unnatural. Like in the wild, like you don't have people, chipmunks going to schools and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Or exchanging goods and services. So, like, there's an instinct within us that wants to, like, live together and be like sophisticated, I guess you could say, but it really just like further progressed down the evolutionary scale so much that we're able to like manipulate the world around us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there's also like this animal part of us, which I guess you could say is kind of self-destructive because it won't help us function as members of a society. And that's kind of the life that we all choose and buy into, but it's still, we still have it because we're still evolved from animals. So I think it just depends on which one you
That's interesting.
play into more.
I mean,
But then is that saying that there's like that these animal desires are necessarily wrong? Because it's a lot of natural animal
No, I don't think
desires.
they're unnecessary or they're wrong. But I think a lot of times they can put you in a bad place society-wise because in nature our goal is to just survive, and that's like what our instincts have evolved down from.
Survive and.
I think
But
there's always
the more we think about, the bigger our brains get, the more we are aware of other people and their needs around us. We want to try to make them as good as our own conditions, not take them down so that we can be built up.
I think there's necessarily no such thing as senseless violence. I think when people throw around that term, doesn't really make sense, because I feel like every single act of violence has some reason behind it.
I think there's just a loss of control.
I
Yeah,
think there can be a loss of
definitely,
control, but
yeah.
that's a reason.
Yeah.
Like if you start going into your monkey mode, which is very much a thing. Like there's our cerebral cortex basically, which is our human brain.
Yeah.
And then there's our monkey brain, which is constantly telling us to do a bunch of other shit. And so it's like, which one are you going to listen to? And honestly, there are people who go monkey brain most of the time, I think. And so that's why you will get spouts of violence. And especially when you'll have like, because like gang violence is when they say senseless killings, but it's like, no, those are two communities at war.
That's very much
they also
social
take shots.
contact.
That's what I'm saying. But you will hear.
That is
I like
not
the
an
census
individual
murders.
choice. That is definitely much like that is involved with your environment.
Yeah,
Like,
the only
it's
senseless
definitely-
violence is like
Violence of any
accidental
kind
murders,
for,
but even
like,
then there was a
it's definitely your fault.
there was a motivation behind every at least killing,
there is.
unless it is a complete accident where like a gun is
Well, it's
misfired or
also
something
people
like that.
being
But like
put in
that.
terrible situations where like you're like this.
Well,
like,
mostly it's all, because if you're driven to
survivor,
murder somebody, you either
exactly
there have been cases where people can be born and it is almost like there's something in their mind where it's like they're driven to do bad things. Where it's not even like they're in monkey mode and they're just listening to their monkey brain.
childhood has a
Where
huge-
no, there's I've seen a
It's
documentary
not
about it.
just-
But they're not, like, I mean, it's a very small percentage of the population, but there is a percentage of the population, like, I mean, is like probably less than 1%.
But you understand that like it's not only your genetics, it's your environment, it's
Early
no, I understand it's everything,
like,
but I'm
it's
just saying.
so many things
I'm just
that
saying-
interact
Well, you
with
don't
like the
invest
way
in it
that
at
you
all.
are
It's
developing.
really
like,
important.
But but that's what I'm saying. There's always a reason
Why,
for
there's a tendency of
for the explosion of violence that happens when you commit an act of violence. So like, there's never some time that it happens and there's nothing behind it. So there's that.
I think everyone who commits any crime should be given at least some kind of sympathy.
Yeah, the criminal justice system is fucked up.
well, yeah, I mean, there's
Like-
definitely. I do think there are cases where it's like, okay, you are definitely guilty. You are definitely guilty of your crime. You should not have
Sure.
done that. I mean, there are so many cases where that is the case.
I think there are.
However, yeah, so,
I think that there are back to the society thing. Like, there are several instances of like people like serial killers or like people who arsonists, like thing like that. People who seriously, and I think all of them should be subjected to a psychological evaluation before anything happens, and then given the proper treatment if something is wrong with them. But like, there are certain people who just cannot be members of society if they're going to fuck shit up that badly. Like, honestly.
well, yeah, no, I agree.
But a lot of criminals, I mean, why do you have to go away for the rest of your life? You're not a threat to society in the same way that an arsonist, a serial killer is. So I think that there should be a lot more pathways for like, I don't think you should immediately go to jail. Like, I think you should have, like you have to go to mandatory therapy or, like, mandatory check-ins with your parole officer every week. Like, why are you sending them straight to prison to perform labor for, like, 12 cents an hour or whatever the fuck they pay them? You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah,
And so I just, like, but, like, there's, when you break a societal code, like, no matter what the code is, you've all agreed on it, you all vote on it, like, in a system that kind of actually works. Like, ours is kind of getting out of hand right now. But, like, in a true system that works, like, you all agree on the rules, so you follow by the rules, and if you break one of the rules, like, you have to be punished for the crime so that you don't do it again, but not in the way that we do it, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
And you should also figure out why you wanted to break the rule in the first place. Like, that just
And
seems
it's
like
also, like,
people don't attack things at the roots. They just try to, like, cut it off, and it keeps growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true.
and it's like biased in the way they do it too. Like it's
Yeah.
Well, it's a lazy
definitely.
idea of like what.
Yeah. This person's doing a bad
The
thing, so I'm just
problem
gonna
is-
throw him in the cage. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's like no, the problem it's an attack on like the action is the problem, but really it's the person, or just like there's like an
No,
underlying like childhood like. But that's one thing that I have.
it's
a problem
not
with.
necessarily the person. I mean, I
Well,
know,
yeah,
I know
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I know what you're saying.
But and like I feel like there are like one problem that I've seen with like just like humanity in whole is like I feel like people like life isn't fair, dude.
No, it's not fair.
Like nothing about being alive
No,
or
no.
anything is like really fair.
In
Like you
America.
really are, especially with like genes and stuff. You really are just dealt like a deck of cards. Just like make the best you can.
And you
And so
get,
it's like a a balance with this like understanding that life inherently isn't fair. And so like I guess it's a question of like, so is our task to make something fair that isn't inherently unfair? Like, and how do we accomplish that goal?
I think at this point we have and are approaching the point to where we have and will have the resources to not, I don't want to say save everyone.
Is that progression though? Because then that's like the define of like.
But
What's progression to you?
Yeah, I guess that's the.
Well, I'm saying we are reaching. I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying we're reaching a point where we will have the ability to, I think, take care of a lot of problems, and we'll have the resources to do so. Whether or not we do it is a real question.
I think the end goal is always, like, helping as many people as possible.
yeah.
Try to live a more fair life.
Well, not for everyone. I don't think for everyone.
That's what
true. I don't think a lot of people in power that's their goal.
like.
I think maybe they justify certain things by that, but I think in a lot of
Eliminate
sense,
the most amount of bad things that you can. That's what.
So, what would around the table? What would you define as progression?
As many people having all their basic needs met as possible, and
But, like-
right where we
non-oppression steps towards just like peace in.
I think progression is like the halt of using. I feel like we're using up our time right now. Like we're just trying to destroying the planet and we're hurting each other, and it's like what I would see progression as like to where we start like adding to what we have, or like exploring more, or like solving like major issues that are plaguing us for like ever since like society began, you know. And moving on, I feel like we haven't had a big. I mean, like the last thing that I would say would be really progressive was definitely the internet, because it connected so many people from all over the world, and I think
Made
that
us a
allowed.
lot more aware of.
Yeah, and I think I think that's why things feel like shit right now, is because like we
We're
lived a
exposed
long
to so
time in
much
ignorance.
more. Yeah.
Yes, we did. We lived a long time in ignorance to like what was not around us, and honestly, a lot of the times when what is ever around you feels okay. And like, but like if you don't have connection to people who have different lives and stuff, you can't see the unfair.
So that's what I was gonna say. Is like, I think that progression means that like, if we're going to progress in our country, that means that it means that everyone has equal rights and that everyone can be able to
Equal
experience
opportunities.
the same opportunities and have the same lives as anyone else, like depending on any aspect of themselves. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like progression means that like everyone is equal. That's really what it means to me. Like I think that's essentially what it is.
I would agree. I think progression would definitely be when people can work together. It's like a we questions. I think progression would definitely be when everybody's moving together as a whole, trying to work with like the best experience
I mean like that's the obvious answer, but like
what happens, so like why do we have countries, and do you think countries like splitting places up so like with different governments, like would there be an ideal society? Is that all underneath one government? Is that all underneath one kind of like
No, I think everybody's just living their own ways and different people
but in
peaceful negotiations. Jake, what were you gonna say?
I actually forgot.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jake.
No, you're good.
I think the term ideal society is, it's not inherently bad, but it's also kind of like this ideal way of living that like we can't always
We can't obtain.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
it's like
thing, it's like, is it worth thinking about?
no, I mean
what
you
the
can
ideal
yeah
situation
you
is
can
when we
think
can
about
maybe
it
never attain
obviously,
this
but like it's just like the fact that like we're thinking about like what would the ideal society be like.
There is no ideal society.
I mean, you
it's
can't
like
deal with
what
it
is
until
perfection?
you deal with like the actual like intricate problems of our country and
Well,
like of our county and of our town. Like
to fix what has been broken, you actually have to have people in power who have the ability to go back and fix it. But honestly, at this point, I think it's going to take a lot of time to do that. Not only just because to get people in power who will actually do that will take time, but just to actually like go through and fix a lot of what has happened. I just think a lot of the things will continue to be met with opposition. However, I do think that just giving people, I mean, basic rights. Look through the eyes of like the founding fathers, but in a rigid yet like dynamic way. So it's like look through and go, okay, they wanted everyone to be equal. Correct? They wanted everyone to live equally.
But
Look at don't even look at the but look at the best part. Look at the best parts of what the original founding fathers wanted for America.
Uh-huh.
And that was freedom for every man and woman and child. Okay. Don't I mean but you can look at the best you can and so no matter what every American can get behind that. And so if you go, hey, there are American citizens who don't have basic rights and are being denied their basic rights every day and are being the right to live honestly, then I think people can get behind that message. So I think having a certain progressive movement that everyone can get behind is something that it needs to be pitched a certain way. I think that's really hard because right now it's not. I think it's being pitched from like either side to the same side.
As you're bad because you don't support this. But really, it should be pitched as like a good idea, or like a praising both parties or praising different things and being able to like
or just like
put people open.
I mean, that's why I still think like the Bernie Sanders campaign. Like I think the change that could have come from that and the change that was like promised, like an actual if a movement outside the Democratic Party had happened, I think it would have been like a lot different. But that's
going too deep into politics.
But I'm saying, but when you're going too progressive, that is progression. Like that would be offering.
So your idea of progression is definitely going to be.
But that's meta.
And I think politics is kind of. But I would like that idea, like that we don't have to go through this idea of politics.
But I mean, to change the government, to change how you function, you would have to go through politics.
But my question is, do you? I mean, I feel like the ideas that you're supporting are where like the beginning is, and then the policies are a step along the side. I think so changing people's mindsets first.
Oh, you definitely have to change.
But you don't have to.
Wait, what were you gonna say, Rosemary?
I was just gonna say, Bernie, we hope you're doing well out there. And we also hope for peace on Earth.
Yeah, peace on Earth for sure.
And it might be time to
I think it might be
call the podcast to a close.
We're at salt.
Ring the dinner bell. It's time to
All right.
Shut it off.
To end the podcast, we got our special guest, Tom Grogan. He's been with us this whole entire time. Let's give it up for Tom, everybody.
Woo, Tom!
All right. All right. Ending words. Tom Grogan. Let's go. Let's hear
Give
him.
us
In 3,
Give us some send off.
2, 1.
Good night, everybody.